Live and on tape from the Silicon Valley, this is the Daily Disturbance, hosted by Dave Daba, ripping on players, coaches, and bad front office management. The Daily Disturbance starts.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, North America, thanks so much for tuning in to the Disturbance. Today, I will give you my highly coveted who's going to win the National Basketball Association Championship in 2021. And guess what? You won't be surprised at all. But we will also give you our first top 10 National Basketball Association power rankings of the season for week number 1 of your NBA season. And then lastly, on the big show today, we will cover a little bit of what the hell is going on inside your National Football League. All of that and a whole lot more coming up on the big show today. It is Wednesday, December 23rd. Of the year 2020. I am Dave Daba, and thanks so much for tuning into the show. Let's go ahead and dive in to the National Basketball Association. I have to say, I am so excited that the NBA season is back. I cannot tell you how excited I am. Literally, as I'm recording this podcast right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who took 6 minutes to score their first basket, finally did it at home against the Detroit Pistons. Now, we're going to cover who I think is going to win the National Basketball Association Championship in just a little bit. I'm also going to give you my power rankings, just some quick thoughts on what we saw happen last night in the opening night of the NBA. And I have to say, the tip-off with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors heading to Brooklyn. Now, I've heard people say that they think the Golden State Warriors, and I'm based here in the Silicon Valley, I've heard people say that they think the Golden State Warriors are an eighth seed this year with the current roster that they have. And let me tell you right now, if Steph Curry misses more than 5 games this year, there's no way they're even the eighth seed in the West this year. That team needs Klay Thompson badly. So unless there's some sort of unpredictable trade that brings James Harden, who's been caught in a club recently, if you know what I mean, unless that kind of big deal happens for the Golden State Warriors to even make the playoffs this year is highly unlikely. Finally, there was absolutely nothing surprising to me at all about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers beating the Lakers on ring night. Nothing surprising to me at all that the Lakers would drop their first game in their effort to repeat. Now, I've said this on a couple other podcasts as well. This is a different Laker team than the one that won the championships just back in October. It was literally like 6 weeks ago. This is just crazy that the season ended so late and we're starting so close to the actual end of the previous season. Look, after seeing what happened, I don't know if you had a chance to see the Rajon Rondo video earlier in the week. But Rajon Rondo hanging out with his girlfriend in a parking structure. I think it was in Atlanta someplace. And another girl walks up and his girlfriend and this other girlfriend get into a brawl. Look, that is exactly why the National Basketball Association is already regretting not putting these teams back into a pixie dust protected bubble. I'm just saying. All right. So now on to just a really quick, prediction on who's going to be in the NBA Finals this year. Now, if we take a look at, sort of the start of the season power rankings. I'm going to weave this all together for you into a tight package. So we're going to do power rankings, and we're going to do who's going to win the whole thing all at the same time. Like, who else can pull something like that off? So if we take a look at the top 10 power rankings, I would say you've got the Utah Jazz, you've got the 76ers, you've got the Celtics, the Heat, the Mavericks, the Nets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Bucks, and of course the Los Angeles Lakers. None of that should be a surprise to anybody. The real question is, who's the best team in the East? Who will be the best team in the East when the season is over? On paper, we all believe it should be the Brooklyn Nets. But do we really believe that Mr. Kyrie Irving can continue to at least publicly say to people that he does know that the earth is round? Like, do we believe that he can keep it together for an entire season, or is he going to rub on Kevin Durant in the wrong way, and are there going to be issues in Brooklyn? So on paper, the Nets should be the team that comes out of the East, but they won't be because of Kyrie Irving. Something will happen. It doesn't matter. It's like the Dallas Cowboys in football. Something always happens to them. Something will happen to the Brooklyn Nets, which will prevent them from making a run at the NBA Finals this year. Look, I'm not wishing injury on anybody. I certainly hope that Steve Nash does a good job with this team. But let's face it, it's got Kyrie Irving on its team without LeBron James. Enough said about the Nets. Now, elsewhere around the East, you've got the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, and of course the Milwaukee Bucks. Everybody is going to continue to pick the Bucks. Everybody's going to say that the Bucks are the best team in the East. And you and I know that maybe that might be the case in the regular season. But did they really add enough firepower to take down the Celtics, let alone maybe even the Philadelphia 76ers of all people in the playoffs in this upcoming year? So I wouldn't take the highly favored Milwaukee Bucks to come out of the East. To me, it comes down to a retooled Celtics team versus a Miami Heat team, which is 1 year older and 1 year with more experience. I'm going to say that coming out of the East this year, and this is going to surprise a lot of people out there, but I believe in Jimmy Butler. I believe in Pat Riley as a GM. I believe in Eric Spoelstra as a head coach. I believe in the young talent that team has. All things being equal and everybody staying healthy, the Miami Heat will be the representatives of the Eastern Conference this year. So now, if we take a look at who the top 10 teams are in the NBA coming into week one of the NBA season, it's pretty simple. I've got the 76ers at 10. I've got the Utah Jazz at 9. I have a retooled Celtics team at 7. I have the Miami Heat at 6. I've got the Dallas Mavericks at 5. So there you go. Now, when we get down into the next echelons of this, the teams to choose from are the Nets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Lakers. Look, power rankings for the regular season. You know the Milwaukee Bucks are number 2. You know that on paper, since the season's just starting, we're going to give it to the Lakers. The question is, who's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best team from a power ranking standpoint at the start of the NBA season? As much as I ripped just now on Kyrie Irving, the 3rd best team at the start of the season is the Brooklyn Nets, followed by the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. That's my top 10 power rankings for the start, week number 1 of your National Basketball Association season. So your next question is, DeBaugh, who's going to come out of the West? Is it going to be a surprise? Do you really think that the Phoenix Suns are going to make the playoffs over the Golden State Warriors? And the answer is absolutely hell yes. Hell yes, I do. Look, I love Steph Curry as much as the next person, especially here in the Bay Area, but they do not have enough talent night in and night out. And Steph is, he's getting a little older. Plus, he lost a big golf match against Charles Barkley. I rest my case. So I think what we're really looking at coming out of the West is probably not going to be a surprise. It's either going to be the Lakers, the Mavericks, or the Clippers. Those are your three teams that have legitimate chances of being the Western Conference Finals representative in the NBA Finals in this coming 2021 season. So, do we believe that the Clippers have enough talent to win it all? Yes. Do we believe that the Dallas Mavericks have enough talent to win it all? Probably not. If there are key injuries on the Clippers and on the Lakers, then the Mavericks would be a team that could find a way to slip into that spot. We also have the whole COVID situation, and we just don't know how that's all going to play out during this regular season. So when I look at all of this, it is very hard. As much as I want to pick the Dallas Mavericks as a surprise, I can't do it. As much as I would like to actually say that I believe in the Los Angeles Clipper organization as a whole, which is a completely different organization than your father's Clippers organization, as much as I want to pick Kawhi Leonard, after seeing him and Paul George sort of melt down in the bubble, after seeing Paul George's post-game interview after their big victory over the Lakers yesterday, where he said, and I quote, something to the effect that he was in a good place mentally, is something. So when somebody says they're in a good place mentally, that means they're not in a good place mentally. If you feel the need to have to say that you're in a good place mentally, it is not a good sign, especially at the end of game one of the NBA season. I am just saying. So while we don't know about all of the retooled pieces of the Los Angeles Lakers, what we do know is that the core important pieces are there, and I would be hard-pressed to not pick the Los Angeles Lakers to be the team to come out of the Western Conference for the 2021 season. And if I'm going to have to crown somebody as an NBA champion, because you got to make the big prediction, I would say Lakers in 6 over the Miami Heat in a repeat. All right. So that is your National Basketball Association, top 10 power rankings plus who the heck is going to win it all. Look, I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Looking forward to our weekly NBA show, which kicks off next week. So stay tuned for that as well. Moving on to the National Football League, just super quick. I have to say, what the hell is going on in the NFL right now? I literally don't know what to expect week in and week out inside the NFL. The Vikings lose to the Bears at home. Kirk Cousins actually plays a decent game, and they still lose to the Bears at home. You've got Seattle beating Washington, but not covering the spread in Washington. You've got a huge upset, not an upset, but a huge easy win for the Ravens. And then for some strange, bizarre reason, Adam Gase finally wakes his New York Jets football team up. After 15 weeks, he finally wakes them up, and they beat the Rams in Los Angeles 23-20. And I thought to myself, that is the most shocking thing I'm going to see all week in the NFL. And then Monday Night Football rolls around. Mike Tomlin, his Pittsburgh Steelers are on a 2-game losing streak coming into a game against the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that had absolutely nothing to play for. They've already got their number one quarterback, so they don't want that number one draft pick again. So they have nothing to play for at all. They just went out and they provided a classic beatdown of an arch rival in their division, 27-17. Ben Roethlisberger looked absolutely retired. You could say he looked terrible. I would just say he looked retired. That was a retirement sort of statement performance by Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are now 3-11 on the season. Look, I expect so much more from my man, one of my favorite coaches in the National Football League, Mike Tomlin. But this is what happens when you don't have a strong running game. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to go anywhere at all in the playoffs this year because their running attack has completely vanished. Yes, some of it's due to injuries. Some of it is not. And I will leave it at that. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Disturbance. Do check out our big website at mighty.rep when you have a chance. For The Disturbance, I am Dave Duvall, wishing you all a fantastic rest of your sports week.
The Disturbance is a production of the Mighty Rep